The People's Business is made possible by our partners, Solar Dynamics, the most efficient energy systems.
Hello, I'm Shane Seeley and welcome to The People's Business. And tonight's topic, the Glaucoma Surgery Initiative, a mission to save sight. And we'll be getting into all of the activities surrounding what is a very important mission which will be happening at the QEH this week. To talk to us a bit about all of this that will be happening there is David Callender. He's the head of the Department of Ophthalmology at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Dr. Don Grosvenor is an associate consultant working with the department as well. Kelia Goodridge is a registered nurse also at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, and Jenna Thompson is a patient advocate. So we will be getting into this topic in full, talking about everything that will be done to reduce the backlog of cases at the QEH right here on The People's Business right after this break. Welcome back to The People's Business. Tonight's program will be roughly an hour, so viewers, we will give you an opportunity to get your calls in early because we know that there will be many questions as we talk about getting into this backlog, reducing this backlog that would have developed over the last 2.5 years, and everyone knows why, the COVID-19 pandemic. But the problem in terms of getting these surgeries done, glaucoma surgeries, cataract surgeries, to save sight at the QEH, these problems started even before the pandemic. So we have the professionals in to tell us a bit about what will be done over the next week to really make a start, a dent into this backlog of cases. Mr. Callender, I want to start with you. You're the head of the department. Talk to me about this initiative, the Glaucoma Week Surgery Initiative.
Hello, good evening. Over the course of several years, we've noticed that our surgery time has been limited. And we know that glaucoma can be blinding, so it's felt that every year around this time, Glaucoma Week of activities, we try to do a bit more extra work in glaucoma. Dr. Grosvenor has approached all of the consultant surgeons in the department so that we can have surgery time this week dedicated to glaucoma surgery alone. And for that reason, this entire week will be focused on glaucoma surgery except for emergencies that might come in.
So a full week of glaucoma surgeries, and Dr. Grosvenor, I mean, you must be very happy with that. When would that have happened? When was the last time that you would have had a week dedicated to this type of surgery being done at the QEH?
Well, this is the first time that we're doing it because I think most people hear us coming every year for Glaucoma Week, and we focus on awareness, getting the word out, telling people about glaucoma, and encouraging people to get their eyes checked for glaucoma. And it's important to understand what glaucoma is and how it's different from other eye diseases. We put a big emphasis on it because Barbados is one of the places in the world with one of the highest levels of glaucoma. We call that the prevalence. The existing rate of glaucoma in Barbados is extremely high, about 7% of our population over the age of 40. And it is the number one cause of irreversible blindness in Barbados and also the number one cause of irreversible blindness worldwide. But it doesn't have to be blinding. If someone is diagnosed with glaucoma, if we can diagnose it early enough and treat it effectively over the course of a person's life, they can maintain vision and a normal lifestyle for their whole life. And that's what we're aiming to do. So in the years gone by, we have focused on telling people about glaucoma, encouraging them to come out and get checked. And, some people will remember we did large screenings many places. We did them at the Lawyers Consanford Center. We've done them at the hospital. We even did a year at NIS in the foyer. Anywhere we could catch people, we did these screenings. Private optometrists and ophthalmologists did those screenings as well in their offices every single year. But all of that was stymied in the pandemic because we couldn't handle the crowds of people. Crowding was out of the question. And in my work, I deal with people who are dealing with the most severe kinds of glaucoma, and often those are the people who actually need glaucoma surgery. So realizing that, for the last 2 years, we really have started to accumulate a backlog and we couldn't do the screenings as usual, I thought what we should do is prioritize the people at greatest risk of blindness, which are the people needing surgery, and that's why we launched this year. It's something that we had been considering. This is an idea that came to me between 2020 and 2021 as we were dealing with the delays,
Right.
but we weren't able to get it off the ground until now, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, and I mean, you must be happy with that. For everyone knows glaucoma is an eye disease, but how do you differentiate it from, say, cataract?
Yes, so glaucoma, they affect two completely different parts of the eye, completely different ways, and with completely different outcomes. So glaucoma affects the nerve, which is at the very back of the eyeball, and that is what connects your eyeball to the brain, basically. That's what is responsible for your ability to see because the eye is sending signals through that one nerve from the back of the eyeball to the brain. The brain is interpreting it and telling us what we're seeing. In each eye, we only have one nerve, and it is that nerve that is affected in glaucoma. Usually, the eye pressure is high, and it's that pressure that's impacting on the nerve over time that can cause deterioration in the nerve. And the thing about nerve tissue is in the eye, it does not grow back, it doesn't regenerate. So far, we haven't figured out how to do that. So once that nerve is damaged, whatever portion of the nerve is damaged, that damages that portion of the site as well. So you can imagine if your whole nerve is damaged, that damages the whole of the site. The good thing is that this is a very slow process usually, and it takes many years to accumulate that loss. So we have a lot of time to catch it and treat it. Cataract, on the other hand, affects the lens, which is close to the front of the eye. And cataract can be reversed. So you can have cataract surgery. You can remove that cloudy lens, replace it with a clear artificial lens implant, and just like that, your sight is restored. We can't do the same thing for the nerve. Once it's damaged, we can't take it out because it's what's connecting our eye to the brain. And once it's damaged in place, then we can't reverse the damage. So, loss of vision from cataract is reversible, whereas loss of vision from glaucoma is not.
Kelia will be dealing with a lot of the patients, I'm thinking, coming in for treatment this week. Kelia Goodridge, she's a registered nurse. Is that right?
Yes, please.
Talk to us about that process. What should patients expect when they come in for the surgery this week?
Firstly, we make sure that it's the right patient, and hopefully a relative can assist the patient in coming. As you know, most of our patients are elderly, and assistance would always be nice, especially with the decrease in vision. So if they can bring a relative with them, that's the first thing. And then, we just try to make them as comfortable as possible. We understand the procedure, and we make sure we have the right eye. We make sure we have the supplies. We make sure that all the instruments are working and all the necessary things for surgery are provided. For the patient, we dilate the eye if necessary, and then we just talk to the patient, try to alleviate their fears. If they have any questions, we try to answer them because our patients are awake and the procedure is done on the local. So we just try to talk them through what is going to happen. Their face is going to be covered. If the procedure is for a long, extended period of time, that they utilize the bathroom and that kind of stuff before they lay down, and just try to make them as comfortable as possible. If it is required for us to hold their hand, that is what we do, just so that the process is as best as possible that they can experience.
Yeah, you want to allay any fears that they may have going into a surgery where they will still be up. And I mean, it's something
Yes.
like your eye, you're so sensitive. It's an area, it's always moving. It's constantly moving.
Yes.
So that must be really difficult. Jenna is a patient advocate, and as far as I understand, you were a patient as well who would have received surgery. Jenna, can you talk about your experience?
Yeah, sure. I've been living with glaucoma now for over 27 years. I was diagnosed as a child, and I have been in the care of both Dr. Callender and Dr. Grosvenor. Um, and yeah, that's what the surgical experience really is like. Everyone is so, just trying to make you feel comfortable. I think everybody feels a little apprehensive going into surgery, and it's a completely normal feeling. But I would just encourage anybody going to surgery soon to be brave. The care team is very aware of, the challenges that glaucoma patients and anybody having surgery are facing. And they are always giving you basically allaying your fears and being there to talk you through the process. So I would just say to be brave. You can get through it. I know the idea of being awake during surgery could be a little like, oh my gosh, but it can be done, and it will be okay. That's
Yes.
my having gone through it. uh, I will just say, yeah, it'll be okay.
Yes, I mean, but at the end of the day, when the end result is perfect or close to perfect sight, it's something that I think many people will want to just get it done to ensure that their vision is not impaired. And as Dr. Grosvenor said, 7% of the population, and that's a pretty high percentage when you look at the prevalence around the world. I want to talk about something that possibly was happening before the pandemic. I'm pretty sure that the Lions Eye Care Center, which was the area which was designated to deal with these types of surgeries, and we'll talk a bit more about this after the break. They had their issues, and hopefully that we are now getting these surgeries done over this week. That means that they would have been solved. But we'll discuss this when we come back from this break. And a reminder to viewers watching The People's Business Tonight live, you can call us at 228-5562 or 228-5563 to join the conversation as we discuss, as glaucoma really is in focus. It's all about this week of surgery, the Surgery Initiative, a mission to save sight. And a part of that mission was basically solving some of the issues that led to the backlog at the Lions Eye Care Center. David, can you talk to me about that? Have you been able to solve some of those issues? There was funding issues where you were trying to get money to get some of the operating theaters back up and running. Have all of those problems been sorted now?
Let me give a little bit of history first, please. The Lions Eye Care Center was handed over to the government of Barbados in 1994. And the department actually moved into the clinic suite, I think, in probably early 2000. At the time, there was a renovation process of the main operating theaters in the hospital. So all surgeries were switched to the Lions Eye Care Center theater suite on the top floor for all the departments of surgery. When the renovations were completed, the surgical teams moved back to the main theater and a department stayed in Lions Eye Care Center. Because of air conditioning issues, we moved out in 2003 and we moved to Theater 6 in the main operating theater suite. We have been trying to get back to the Lions Eye Care Center since 2003 without success. Funding has been organized in the past. The clinic floor was renovated, but we haven't had the top floor renovated yet. And we have 3 operating theaters up there that we need to utilize for us to really provide the sort of surgical care that we need to our patients. We, the eye department, along with some other stakeholders, have raised funds for the renovation of the theater suite in the Lions Eye Care Center. But we cannot do it alone. We depend on the administration and the government of Barbados to make the suite functional. I cannot say how far that process has gone, but I know that there's been talk about it in recent past, and I'm hoping that we can get there again to utilize that theater suite in the very near future. If we can utilize that theater suite the way we would like to do it as a department, we can handle all of our surgical needs in ophthalmology.
Talk to me about the backlog now. How big of a backlog is there? There was a backlog before the pandemic, and that was exacerbated during the pandemic. You're getting about 20 surgeries done this week.
There's a backlog. Sorry, there's a backlog in glaucoma surgery. There's a backlog in vitreoretinal surgery. There's a backlog in pediatric surgery, because we have 1 operating theater and 9 surgical teams in ophthalmology. We have those of us who do general surgery, some who do specialized surgery. And it is very difficult for 9 surgical teams to share 1 operating theater. So over a period of time, especially if there are other things that impact on what surgery we can do, there will always be a backlog of cases to be done. The numbers may vary from specialty to specialty. We know that cataract is the bread and butter of ophthalmology. So there's a large number of cataract patients waiting to be done. But there's a large number of retinal surgery to be done. There's a large number of glaucoma surgery, and even pediatric cases, other cases to be done. So there's a delay or waiting list for all specialties in the department.
Wow. Dr. Grosvenor, I don't know if you can put a number to the, at least just those who are waiting for glaucoma surgery generally. 20 to be done this week. What is the entire number in terms of those waiting for this type of surgery?
The number is a lot less than the number that you would have, the hundreds that you would have heard about for cataract surgery. For glaucoma surgery, it's about 70 persons at the moment. Back in 2016, when I sort of did the last analysis on, or really started doing analysis on our backlog, we had 100 glaucoma patients waiting for surgery at that time. And the department put some things in place, such as a special nurse-led preoperative clinic, so that patients could be optimally prepared in terms of controlling their blood pressure and blood sugar, so that when they come to the operating theater, as Nurse Goodridge said, the nurses would be able to sort of move them through pretty quickly. And that actually brought our numbers down. We were really making some good inroads in up to about 2019. We did about 66 surgeries, 66 glaucoma surgeries in 2019. And then, of course, that number fell off precipitously between 2020 and 2021. And then that brings us back to 70, where we are now. The thing to bear in mind, though, is that even though we are doing these surgeries, we're still getting new patients coming in who will require surgery on a weekly basis. Certainly for glaucoma, just last week, I had 3 new referrals for surgery. So you can just imagine, if I get 3 new referrals every week, we would very quickly, we would always have, it's almost impossible if we're dealing with a backlog, trying to clear a backlog of 70 and adding 3 every week. It's hard to get on top of that. And the same thing goes for the other specialties. Part of the reason I wanted to make that distinction early on when you asked that very good question, Shane, about the difference between cataract and glaucoma, is that even if your cataract is in the worst stage, and your vision is gone because this cataract is so bad, when you have cataract surgery, that vision can be completely and beautifully restored. That is not so with some of these other surgeries. With glaucoma surgery, if your vision is gone from glaucoma surgery, before glaucoma surgery, the surgery can't bring it back. What we're trying to do with glaucoma surgery is get ahead of the game. All we can do is lower the pressure to preserve the nerve function and the vision that people have already. So time is of the essence. The same thing is true for the other specialties that Dr. Callender mentioned. For retinal surgery, absolutely critical, time is of the essence. And for pediatric surgery, as you can imagine, children's eyes are developing, their vision is developing as well. So time, again, is of the essence. Mm-hmm. So we are constantly juggling these multiple priorities and almost multiple urgencies or emergencies on a daily basis. God forbid someone gets into an accident and hits their eye, or something goes into their eye, then everybody who is having surgery that day has to shift, because now this is an emergency. Right. Mr. Callender highlighted the fact that we have only one operating theater and we have 9 or 10 surgeons. So you can just imagine trying to balance all of that in one theater amongst 9 or 10 people. We can't wait for the Caribbean Lions Eye Care Center to come back on stream. That is the absolutely critical and sustainable answer to this problem. Multiple theaters to accommodate multiple surgeons operating simultaneously on multiple days.
Wow, a lot to be done still, even with this week that you have planned, and it's always good to see you, because we always know that you're at it year after year, trying to push this message about getting glaucoma, getting it in the early stages. We've got a lot to talk about. We'll take a break and we'll be back in a moment. We're discussing tonight on The People's Business the Glaucoma Surgery Initiative, a mission to save sight. Our guest tonight, David Callender, he's the head of the Department of Ophthalmology at the QEH. Dr. Dawn Grosvenor, she's an associate consultant with the department. Nurse Kelia Goodridge is here with us as well, and Jenna Thompson is a patient advocate. And we have a caller on the line joining the discussion. Good night, viewer. What's your question?
My question is, I've been recently diagnosed with both glaucoma and cataract, and I'd like to find out if having surgery to remove the cataract is in any way going to trouble the glaucoma, if it can be successful surgery.
Thanks for your question. Hard to hear about that diagnosis. Dr. Grosvenor, what can you tell us about a situation like that?
Very common because the two things happen in a similar age group. As we get older, that increases the incidence of cataract and glaucoma. And we often get that question. There's this myth out there that if you have glaucoma that you can't have cataract surgery. That is not true. You can definitely have cataract surgery if you have glaucoma, and it can be successful. What you and your doctor will have to discuss beforehand is the severity of each one and how much each one is comparing to any impairment to the vision. Because like I said, the cataract blurring is going to be completely removed when you have the cataract surgery. But if you have early glaucoma, it's not likely to affect your vision, and therefore you have the same result as someone who doesn't have glaucoma when they have cataract surgery. However, if you have advanced glaucoma, which is significantly affecting your sight, even when that cataract is removed and that cataract cloudiness is gone, you still have to bear in mind that the glaucoma contribution to the cloudiness, the glaucoma damage is still there, and that will limit your vision. So that if your neighbor had cataract surgery and they didn't have glaucoma, they can see perfectly. If you have advanced glaucoma, you'll still get the improvement with cataract surgery. That's very likely, but you can't expect to see just the same way they can, or you can't expect to see the way you did 20 years ago when you didn't have glaucoma. So it is a very individual thing, and that's one of the things that, as you know, in dealing with glaucoma, is completely individualized care, because person A is different from person B, and actually the two eyes can be very different. So it's something the patient has to really discuss with the doctor, and the doctor has to discuss with the patient to manage the expectations.
Dr. Grosvenor, thanks for clearing that up for sure. Nurse Goodridge, talk to us about this patient. They got the surgery. They're seeing fine. Talk to us about what happens after. Are you involved in that aftercare process for some of these patients as well?
No, I am not directly involved with the aftercare process, but they go to the eye clinic with the nurses over there. We would tell them what to do post-op. After the surgery, we give them just a short explanation on the do's and the don'ts if a relative comes with them, because you know sometimes after surgery people can be a little bit disoriented. As I said, remember, we're dealing mainly with the elderly, so we just give them a short synopsis of what not to do. But then when they go to the eye clinic the following day, then the nurses would speak to them and the doctor would tell them the do's and the don'ts of what not to do after surgery.
Jenna, I want you to chime in here as well, because speaking about this aftercare and the after surgery, I just want to know what your advocacy is like in terms of speaking to people and getting the word out about early detection. What are those conversations like as you conduct your advocacy?
Okay, well, for me, I would say the important thing to remember is that, as Dr. Grosvenor mentioned earlier, glaucoma requires very individualized care. And your greatest support is going to be your doctor. It's really important to have a very strong relationship with your doctor and to be comfortable communicating and asking the questions that you need to ask to feel comfortable. I like to think of it as a partnership where we kind of create the care plan together and get on the same page. So I really advocate really hard for patients to take an active role in their care, not to just receive it. It's not just receiving care from a doctor, you need to play an active role. And it's basically a toolkit. So you need to see the bigger picture. You need to be consistent with your medication. That means taking it as prescribed. You need to be consistent with your follow-up treatment. So post-surgery, you need to try to make all of your appointments. Even if you feel like you're seeing better, there are things that the doctor can see that you absolutely cannot, especially as a glaucoma patient. It's called the silent thief of sight for a reason. There are things that you will not realize that can only be detected by a healthcare professional, which is why it's important to keep your visits. And just remember that it's chronic, it's ongoing, this is something that you're going to be dealing with continuously and that you're going to have to keep at. It is life work. Maintaining your sight is very important, and it's work that is important.
Indeed.
So that's my advice, really. You need to see the bigger picture. Surgery is just one part. You need to also do your part in terms of working with your doctor and being consistent with your medication and your follow-up.
See the bigger picture, no pun intended at all.
Yeah.
Dr. Grosvenor, looking at this situation, why does Barbados have such a high incidence of glaucoma? Is this another disease which is again linked to our, for the most part, most Barbadians' unhealthy lifestyle?
Okay, well, not this one. We can't blame the unhealthy lifestyle.
Okay.
We can't blame that on the high incidence of glaucoma. If nobody knows the answer to that question, really, that's the million-dollar question. You know, what causes glaucoma? What starts the process? But what we do know are the risk factors, and we know that populations of mainly West African descent have a very high risk of glaucoma. And most of our population, over 90% of our population, is of West African descent. And if we looked at the incidence and the prevalence in West Africa, it would be similarly high. If we look at people of African descent in the diaspora, so Afro-Caribbean people in the UK, African Americans, they have a higher risk and a higher prevalence than non-African diaspora persons. So, you know, that's part of it. It could be genetic, because we see that there's an increased risk in families. So if you have a first degree relative, which is someone in your family tree that's, you know, you can reach out and touch. So a parent, one removed from you, a parent, a child, or a sibling with glaucoma, then your risk for glaucoma is higher. In Barbados, we have such a high prevalence that I say if anyone in the family has glaucoma, then you need to get checked, because everyone in the family will need to be checked, because that's an increased risk. We don't know, you know, the extensive details of our family history going back many, many generations, the medical family history in many cases. So, you know, if you know that a cousin or a second cousin has glaucoma, then everybody should still be checked. Increasing age, like I said, and this data all comes from the Barbados Eye studies, which were conducted by the Chronic Disease Research Center of the University of the West Indies back in the 80s and 90s, one of the sentinel pieces of research produced by that center. It's really been held in worldwide acclaim even now, because it's one of the largest population studies on a population like ours of West African descent, and gave us uniquely a lot of information about ourselves. So in that study, men had a higher risk as well than women. And that is something I see playing out today as well. Men having this increased risk and this increased risk of vision loss. In fact, one year in glaucoma, we had the focus on the men to encourage them to get tested, because it's very important.
Yeah, men tend to shy away from anything to do with the doctor or just getting these regular checkups. Mr. Callender, talk to me about, with all this data that we have to suggest that more men get glaucoma, and with such a high incidence of glaucoma in our population, what is the plan outside of this week now that we're getting back to some sense of normalcy? How are you able to plan with the lack of resources that you're battling with?
Well, I would not say that we have a lack of resources in the actual treatment of our patients. We may have problems with surgery mainly. For a long time, we have had a desire to have outreach clinics where we can screen patients who have not necessarily reached the hospital yet. And I must say that given the significant effort of our previous health department, where we want to have a tele-ophthalmology service in progress, where we have outlying clinics in various parts of the country, where patients can be screened and more readily detected if they have eye problems. Then the wait time for being seen at the hospital will be reduced because the patient will be screened away from the hospital. That's one of the plans we have going forward. We also wanted to involve the polyclinics sometime in the past so we can screen patients who actually attend the polyclinic service for other problems. And that's something we have to revisit and maybe reactivate sometime in the future. So the focus will be to take some of the load off the PHC patients who have been referred, who might have waited a long time to be seen, and see them more readily in the community, utilizing either teleophthalmology and direct screening in the polyclinics or both. It means making different plans going forward to take some of the load from the hospital and take it out into the polyclinic setting.
Yeah, we really need to reduce this backlog in a big way because yes, we're talking about glaucoma, but then there's the other side of the story when you're talking about those cataract surgeries. But glaucoma can cause more permanent damage than the cataract, and I can understand that's the focus of this week, this glaucoma week and this surgery initiative. We're going to come back and talk a bit more about the mission, exactly what will happen this week in terms of these surgeries and just giving people a snapshot of that process. And of course, callers, I know you have your questions as well. Those numbers to call, 228-5562, 228-5563 after the break. The focus tonight is on glaucoma and the surgery initiative, that mission to save sight. And as we look and plan ahead, what will happen this week? I know many of you are asking that question in terms of the surgeries, in terms of the information, because you know Dr. Grosvenor will be out and about working to get that information out to the public. We do have another caller on the line. Good night, caller. What's your question?
Yes, good night. How are you doing?
Real well, real well.
Good night to Miss Grosvenor and her panel. I'm one of her patients. A long time, Henderson Ward. She have made good things for me. The earliest stages of my glaucoma. My eyes was cloudy a morning and I had to go to the hospital, and after she checked me and made sure what was my problem, she really looked after me. And I was expecting to get another surgery in the left eye this time, but had a surgery in the right eye. It is as one standard, is not deteriorating too fast or slow. As you say, it's slowly thing. My vision still stands very good at my age. I thank her a lot for what she have done where I'm concerned. So I can tell anybody, they can look out and go to Miss Grosvenor. She's a wonderful person to deal with, to look after you. You're always in good hands when you're dealing with Miss Grosvenor. That's all I can say. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, caller. Dr. Grosvenor, you got that vote of confidence there from your former patient. I mean, and it's good to hear this side of the story as well, to know that it is a problem that can be rectified, especially if you catch it early. But that's the thing, you have to catch it early.
Yeah, it's best if we catch it early. You know, we don't give up. There's always, once there's vision there, then we still try. but you have a much better chance of retaining your vision. And to reflect what Jenna said and on Mr. Ward as well, the patient has a really big role to play. I mean, when I come in as a glaucoma surgeon, I'm only coming in to do that surgery, for that short period of time. But the person with glaucoma is living with it up to that point, doing all the right things, taking their eye drops, keeping up with their checks and their tests, so that when we come to surgery, we have something good to work with, and I can give them a much better chance of having a good outcome. And then after surgery, they go home and do all those follow-up things as well. We are very fortunate that we have a very good team in ophthalmology. Everybody is very committed. Our nurses, I mean, Nurse Goodridge is being modest, but our nurses are an award-winning team. We got they got the hospital's best team award back in 2017. And patients are always pleasantly surprised when they come at the sort of peaceful experience in ophthalmic surgery, because it's scary having surgery. Nobody wants to have surgery on your eye, but if you need it, you can rest assured that we are there to do the best we can for you. But it's a partnership, as Jenna says. I do operate on patients who are in a much worse situation, and the outcome might not be as good, or we might save the vision, but we can't say that it will be there for your whole life until 100, because that's how we're counting everybody. We're counting everybody to 100, and we're aiming to save your vision until then. But it's really important that patients and families around them have to do their part as well. For me, one of the most heartbreaking things is when I know that if we do surgery, we can save someone's sight, but because of fears or what someone else has said, they don't choose the surgery, and we can't do anything. We can't do anything. We have to watch someone go blind when we could have saved them. So I really, that's why I really want to get the word out that surgery is possible, that we can have a good outcome, so that people don't have this fear and these myths about glaucoma surgery.
We do have another caller on the line. Good night. Welcome to the People's Business. Do you have a question for us?
Good night, yes. I know you're concentrating on glaucoma surgeries this week. My question is, when will you be getting around to cataracts? Which to me, in my case, is very important to me, because I've been attending the eye clinic for a little over 3 years, and I've been having postponements, and the last was in October last year until June this year now.
Wow. That's a big delay there. So who takes that question? Mr. Callender, you want to handle that one?
Sure. Because of the pandemic beginning March 2020, the department, followed by on instruction from the hospital, made a decision that we have to reduce our clinic load of patients on a daily basis to avoid overcrowding. So clinics were routinely trimmed. Now that we are getting back to the swing of things, we're hoping to restart a regular clinic so that we can start dealing with the patients who come to the clinic. Surgery was also trimmed because of reduced numbers that we want to come to the operating theater. In addition to that, we have some other challenges we have to deal with. The physical plant. So understandably, a lot of things were put on hold until hopefully very soon. We always chose patients for reschedule who we deemed were fit for reschedule. Patients with problems were seen routinely, but obviously if a patient has good vision, normal pressures, and they can be put back for a few months with the hope that nothing goes wrong, then we'll reschedule that appointment. So if the caller was rescheduled, it meant that based on the scrutiny of the notes, there did not seem to be a major problem. As the country reopens, we are hoping to restart all of our services to the level or greater than we had before. We do not anticipate, hopefully, any further delays, but I will also add that we never stop operating. We just reduce our numbers of patients. and we will gradually get back to where we were before the pandemic level. We hope to even get past that if possible.
Followers on our Facebook page at CBC Barbados. So there you see it. What is the rate of success of these surgeries, Dr. Grosvenor?
We have a very good success rate, and that's why we can keep going, really. And you have to really keep monitoring what that is. Now, success in glaucoma surgery is different from success in cataract surgery because we judge glaucoma surgery success after a whole year. It's not enough to just come out of the surgery and have things go well. What we're trying to do with glaucoma surgery is reduce the eye pressure. So, and we know glaucoma is a lifelong disease. So we don't want to say we've done the surgery today, your pressure is good tomorrow, that's a success. We raise the bar a bit higher and we judge the success of glaucoma surgery after a year. For the kind of glaucoma surgery that I do most commonly, trabeculectomy, our success rate is about 90% and sometimes more depending on the situation. And that means that after a year, 90% of people will have a pressure that is where we want it to be or pressure that's significantly decreased. There are other kinds of surgeries that we do now, and this question of cataract and glaucoma together, now the modern or the most modern innovation in glaucoma surgery that we brought to the QEH is minimally invasive glaucoma surgery. People can think of it as, for the eye, a keyhole surgery. You know, you would have heard of that term, keyhole surgery, back in the 80s and 90s. That's kind of what the newer glaucoma surgeries are like. Those we combine with cataract surgery now for people who have more moderate glaucoma and who have a major problem with cataract simultaneously. Glaucoma surgery is more successful. The other kind of glaucoma surgery, the more the bigger kind, if you like, that is more successful if people already have their cataract out of the eye and we can just concentrate on glaucoma. But in our situation, we don't often have that luxury and we have to do a combined operation. And it's great that we now have this minimally invasive option as well. So our success rates are good. With any surgery, cataract surgery also has an over 95% success rate as well. Any surgery, though, has its risk. You notice I didn't say the success rate is 100%, not for any of them. And the risks for glaucoma surgery are similar to cataract surgery. The risks are small, but it's important for persons to understand them. And so we balance the risks with the benefits to make sure that we only operate in a situation where the benefits significantly outweigh the risks.
Yes, and that's why we want these 20 surgeries that you have this week to go well so that we can start cutting into that backlog. But we'll talk a bit more about this week in a matter of moments. We have a lot more to discuss and we don't have much time to do it in. So we'll be back to talk a bit more about the Glaucoma Surgery Initiative, that mission to save sight. We want to thank you, viewers, those of you right here watching us live on TV and on Facebook, for sharing your comments, your questions with us tonight. We know this is a very important topic for many, so many families affected by glaucoma, and we really want to get some headway to have some successful, just some good stories coming out of these surgeries happening this week and as we go through the remainder of 2022, moving out of the pandemic, trying to address some of these delays at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital and hopefully soon at Lions Eye Care Center. Let's get back to our guests and get back to the phone lines. We do have another caller. Good night, caller. What's your question?
Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to
Yes.
People's Business.
Right. I would just like to encourage persons to have their surgery and do whatever they can to save their eyesight. My son was treated by Dr. Grosvenor, and I have to tell you, there were many times when I was so scared, but she alleviated a lot of my fears, and right now he can still see. He's been having a lot of challenges, but he can still see, and I am not afraid to have him get the operations, because I know that without them he would have been blind today. So don't go blind when you can save your sight.
Thank you so much, caller. Thank you so much. And that's what we want to hear. We want people not to fear coming, not only to get these checkups, but to get that surgery to save your sight. It's so important for all of us. So it's almost a no-brainer, but we know people will have their fears about surgery. Surgery is always, when you hear the word, you tend to get worried. So Dr. Grosvenor, what is happening this week? We know the surgeries, you have about 20 planned, but outside of that, what do you have planned this week in terms of, you're the chair of the week of activities as well? And I can't forget this, I did have another caller to my WhatsApp that is saying to me, I must also mention that you're a full-time lecturer in ophthalmology with the Faculty of Medical Sciences at the UWI Cave Hill campus, and you would know who that person is. But what else are you doing this week in terms of informing the public?
Yes, that's a really important. That is actually one of my dual jobs really. So I'm always teaching the public and teaching medical students and postgraduate students. Coordinating the postgraduate program is important because those are going to be the ophthalmologists that are going to come out and help us. On Monday, I'm doing a lecture with the Lions at 7:30 on Zoom, and anybody can see what's happening in the week on our social media pages: Barbados Glaucoma Week, Instagram, and Facebook. And then the rest of the time, we're focusing on glaucoma surgery. It's going to be a bit of a broken week, because we already have a pediatric urgent case coming in tomorrow that's going to shift things down, but we're going to make that up in the weeks to come. I also want to say to patients, if you're waiting on glaucoma surgery and you haven't got a call, we're only doing a limited number of cases now. We're just sort of jump starting this car, right? But it doesn't mean that we're not going to move off from here. You will hear from us. We will get you in. We haven't forgotten you.
Perfect. Nurse Goodridge, your message to patients coming into you this week as they get ready for surgery. What do you want them to walk with? Are there any do's and don'ts that you want to remind them about?
We just want to remind them that if they're on any medication, to take their medication before they come. Walk with something to eat just in case, the wait time is a little longer than expected. And, we will take good care of you.
Indeed, indeed. Jenna, your thoughts, final thoughts as we really get ready to get into this week and get things done, addressing that backlog.
I would just say I have been living with glaucoma for 27 years and I still have functional vision. I've had multiple surgeries. Let me be an example of surgery working and, just trying to be on top of your care plan working. So know that a good outcome is possible.
It's all about the good outcome. Over 90% success rate for both the cataract and glaucoma, and that will continue because we do have some good surgeons right here in Barbados. Dr. Callender, your surgeons have a very busy week ahead.
That's right. I would like to use this opportunity to thank the surgeons in the department and the nurses for giving up their limited theater time to facilitate this initiative this week. And we always give our full support to Dr. Grosvenor whenever she wants to increase her surgical output. So we're standing right there and giving her the support that she needs.
We really want to thank all of you for joining us to share the message right here on People's Business. It's all about this mission to save sight, this glaucoma week surgery initiative. We thank you for your time, we thank you for your service, and we really thank you for saving people's sight, because it's something that none of us want to live without. We want to have it for our life so that we can see the beautiful colors and everything around us. And I mean, the thank yous really are not enough. So thank you so much, Mr. Callender, David Callender. He's the head of the Department of Ophthalmology at the QEH. You have a long road ahead in dealing with these backlogs, and we wish you all the best. Also working alongside him, Dr. Dawn Grosvenor. She's the associate consultant in the department as well at the QEH. Kelia Goodridge, she is a registered nurse at the QEH as well. Good luck this week. And Jenna Thompson, keep your good work up as a patient advocate. And that's our time tonight here on The People's Business. Thank you for watching. I'm Shane Seeley. Do enjoy the rest of your evening.
Okay, bye. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Great job.